Hey everybody, this is Mr. Ainsworth, and we are in Math 90 here, and we are going to go over your Chapter 3 exam. All right, now this is going to be version 1, so if you're version 2, you can fast forward to the second half, okay? I'm going to do version 1 and version 2 in the same video, so just to save time for me. And then if you want, if you're going to be retesting, listen to this, okay? Listen. If you took version 2, all right, then use your version 1 to practice. Do a pause and play routine, okay? Go through the video and practice the other version that you did not take, all right, to get you ready for the exam. So first, correct your test. Obviously, do all corrections in red. All right, this is mandatory, okay? Do all corrections in red on your test, or if you don't do it on your test, then do it in your spiral, okay? And if you do that, just do the whole thing. You can do it in pencil pen, I don't care. But if you do it on your test, do it in red. And then find your mistakes, all right? Find your mistakes and fix them. Find your mistakes. It's really important here, okay? And correct them. You got to find what you did correctly. All right, correct them, and then fix it. All right, so you don't repeat the mistakes. That's the process of learning. Okay, if you keep on repeating your mistakes, you're not learning. All right, so you got to find your mistakes, fix them, correct them, and then do the right thing. Okay, and so use the other version of this video to practice. All right, especially if you're going to be retesting next week, you're going to correct it and then practice. So do the other version. All right, and that's mandatory too. So let me write that down. All right, so mandatory. All right, practice the other version. So if you're a version 1, go through version 2 and do it in your spiral. So practice the other version in your spiral. Just open it up and go through all the problems, write them down and practice, pause and play and go through the entire video. So when I see you on Monday, if you're going to retest, and that's a couple of you, Madison, Ibrahim, and a few other people here, then you should be able to show me the corrections of your own test plus practice of the other one. All right, and it's a weekend, so you can do it. You got plenty of time, so keep that in mind. All right, so stop the video if you need to. Get your red pens, get your pencils, get your spiral out, get your test out, and pause the video, get ready to go, and then go for it. All right, here we go. First one here, we're going to add the opposite. So x minus 3 is equal to negative 9. The inverse of subtraction is called addition. So we're going to inverse of adding or subtracting 3 is called adding 3. And notice that we did it on both sides, okay? Once on the left, once on the right. That's important, okay? Opposites always combine the 0. So put a 0 up there. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. All right, and you get x plus 0 is x, and that's equal to negative 9 plus 3. Well, guess what? Ooh, that's negative 6 right there. All right, negative 6. Number 2, the inverse of dividing by 14 is called multiplying by 14, and so you want to multiply both sides by 14. Okay, now in this one right here, I don't mind if you use the calculator here. So if you're retesting, you get to use the TI-84 or some scientific calculator, not your phone, of course. So take out a calculator right now. If you're at home and you don't have one, well then obviously go ahead and use your cell phone and turn it to the scientific calculator app and use it. If you're in my class, then just take out the TI-84s. All right, and you got to multiply 12 times 14. Now, you should be able to do that on paper, but if just to speed the process up, let's go 12 times 14. And you get 168. If not, if you do it on paper, obviously line them up. Go ahead and start multiplying. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. And you get 168. All right, so you could obviously do this without a calculator. However, like I just said, go ahead and multiply. Check your work. So 168. There we go. And again, I multiplied because the inverse of division is called multiplication. There's only 4 operations in basic operations in mathematics: addition, subtraction, their inverses, and multiplying and dividing, their inverses too. Okay, next one. We got to distribute. Okay, distribute, which means multiply by 6. So let's go ahead and do that. So we got 6 times 1 is 6. Okay, actually, let me stop for a second. I'm going to split the equation. Draw a line right down through the equal sign. And what that does is it separates the left side and the right side, okay? 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 7x is 42x. And bring down the equal sign here. All right, let me squeeze this over here. There we go. 6 minus 42x here equals, okay? Now let me draw that line. There we go. So you distribute or multiply the 6 through. You got to multiply it twice because there's two terms in the binomial here. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 7x is 42x. Bring down the minus sign. Bring down the negative 288. And now is where the adding the opposite comes in. Notice that 6 is positive here. Okay, and the opposite of 6 is called a negative 6. You want to add the opposite. All right, opposites always combine the 0. All right, 6 plus negative 6 equals 0. Check it on the calculator if you like. In fact, let's do it. Okay, 6 plus negative 6. Okay, check this out. 0. Bring down the negative 42x. All right, this right here, you get a negative 288. All right, notice that the negative button is on the bottom of the TID4. All right, add it to a negative 6, and you get a bigger negative. You get negative 294. So negative 294. And now, since negative 42 is being multiplied by x, I got to divide by the negative 42 because I got to isolate the variable. Okay, that's what they say in mathematics. Okay, isolate it means get it by itself. All right, you always do the inverse. And the inverse of multiplying is called division. Okay, so you divide by negative 42. So all you do is go divide by negative 42. Just type it in and let it run. Okay, so you got x equals 7. There you go. All right, number 4 is pretty much the same thing. You got to distribute. So negative 7 times 8 is negative 56. All right, negative 7 times 7 is negative 49x. All right, and that equals 91. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and add the opposite here. Opposite of a negative 56 is positive 56. And notice that I'm doing the same thing on both equations here. I add the opposite. Okay, right there. Okay, look in red. Opposite of a negative is a positive. Opposite of a positive is a negative. All right, add the opposite. They always cancel to 0. All right, what do you get? You get negative 49x is equal to 147. Now, if you don't know that, you go 91 plus 56. All right, you should get 147. Divide by negative 49, just like I did on the previous problem. I used division here. And then again, look at this, divided by negative 49. I mean, use your calculator to the advantage and you get negative 43. Excuse me, negative 3. All right, so it's the same thing going on here. You just have to practice and get good. All right, so again, distributing negative 10x here. Distributing twice, minus 25. Distributing again, plus 24x. Distributing again, plus 3 is equal to negative 64. All right, so now it's time to add like terms. All right, so you add up the variables. Okay, I see a negative 10 plus 24x. So a negative 10x plus a negative 24, plus 24x is the same as 24x minus 10x. And guess what? That's 24 minus 10 is 14, so you get 14x here. I said add like terms, so you got to add the constants. Minus 25 plus 3 is 3 minus 25, or minus 22. You can check that. 3 minus 25. I mean, just input it. Look at that, minus 22. All right, and bring down the equal sign. Bring down the minus 64, or negative 64. Time to add the opposite again. Okay, so here we go. Opposites always cancel. And you get 14x is equal to negative something. Got more negative here. Now, let me clear the calculator here. I got negative 64. All right, plus right here 22. Should be negative 42, right? So plus 22. Notice it said negative 42. All right, divided by 14, because it's the inverse of multiplying, right? It's 14 times x right here. And then we get x is equal to something here. It's probably negative 3. So you divide it by 14, and notice you get negative 3. All right? Same idea over here. Okay, so let's go for it. 69 equals 7 minus 21r. So you distribute. Now distribute again. Minus 12 minus 16r. A negative times a positive, a negative. A negative times a positive, a negative. And once again, you just got to go slow and keep track of the signs, okay? So here we go. We got 69 is equal to, adding like terms, I got 7 minus 12. That's a negative 5. Check it. When in doubt, do this. 7 minus 12. I mean, use your calculator to your advantage. I mean, it's right there. Negative 5. Even if you don't know what it is, you just type it in. All right, and then a minus 21r minus 16r. Now, if you don't know what that is, if you don't know it's negative 41 here, excuse me, negative 37. I don't know what I was thinking. Negative 21 and a negative 16 is a negative 37. You type it in. So negative 21, all right, minus 16. Look at this, negative 37. And then you just write it down. So negative 37r. Here we go again. Add the opposite again. Notice that it's a repeating theme. I do that every single time. All right, I get 74 here is equal to negative 37r. Divide by negative 37 because it's being multiplied, right? We always do the inverse. All right, divide by negative 37. All right, and you already have that in the calculator, so, excuse me, you don't. So 74 divided by negative 37. Just type it in, negative 2. So negative 2 is equal to r. There we go. Or r equals negative 2. All right, let's continue. Okay, so, man, we got a lot to do. Okay, so here on this one, negative 11r, excuse me, v is less than negative 99. So divide by negative 11. Oops. There we go. All right, these cancel, and you divide it by a negative, so switch the inequality. You always switch to an inequality when you divide by a negative, so v is greater than 9. All right, you gotta switch the inequality there. Let me highlight that, from less than to greater than. If you don't do that, you're gonna get the wrong answer. All right, so all numbers greater than 9 lie to the right of 9. That's where x is right there. It's not x, v, excuse me, v. All right, next one, we got 5 greater than n minus 9. Add the opposite, and you get 14 greater than n. All right, so you got to switch the order here. N is less than 14. I've talked about that extensively in class. So you switch the order and then graph. Okay, all numbers less than 14 don't include 14, and they all include numbers to the left of 14. All right, like 13, 13.4, 13.5, 13.9. Okay, anything but 14 and all numbers to the left of that. All right, next one. 6m plus 8m is 14m is greater than or equal to 14. All right, you got to collect like terms. All right, first, divide by 14, and you get m is greater than or equal to 1. So you find 1 on the axis here, on the number line. It says greater than or equal to, so it includes it. All right, all numbers that are greater than or equal to that lie to the right. And I didn't switch the inequality because I divided by a positive and not a negative. You only switch the inequality when you divide by, all right, a negative, not a positive. So on the previous one, I divided by a negative number here. Over here, I divided by a positive, and that's why I didn't switch it. So keep that in mind. All right, next one. We got 8 plus 7b plus 2b. Oops, let's collect like terms. Right here. Okay, 7 and 2 is 9. So 8 plus 9b is greater than or equal to 17. Add the opposite, and you get 9b is greater than or equal to 9, right? 17 minus 8 is 9. And after you divide by 9, you get b is greater than or equal to 1. All right, so you get greater than or equal to 1. Okay, that includes 1, by the way, because of the equal sign. That's why it's closed. All right, let's keep on going. So over here, we got to distribute a bunch of times. So we got negative 18, negative 18 plus 12m, all right, plus m is greater than or equal to negative 109. All right, adding like terms again. Oh my God, combine like terms again. Look at this. All right, 12 and 1 is usually 13. There's a 1 there. 12m plus 1m is 13m. So negative 18 plus 13m greater than or equal to negative 109. All right, add the opposite. So you get 13m is greater than or equal to something. Now, if you enter in negative 109 and you add 18, let's see what happens. Okay, you're under 100. So, well, under negative 100. So you got negative 91. Divide by 13. M is greater than or equal to something, right? So you got to divide it by 13. All right, you get negative 7. So you got to graph that. And it includes negative 7. Why? Because of the equal sign here. It includes it. All right, so negative 7 is a solution. All right, let's keep on going. So distributing here, negative 20p. Now, a negative times a negative is a positive. Look right here. A negative times a negative is a positive. So plus, all right, 35. All right, and that's got to be greater than or equal to 115. Got to subtract or add the opposite. So you get negative 20p is greater than or equal to something. Now, if you don't know what this is, all right, if you don't know what's 80, then you enter in 115 and you subtract 35. All right, and then you get 80. Now, you got to be careful here because if when you divide by a negative, just like you did up on the, let me see, just like you did, where is it? Right here. No, where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, right here, number 7. When you divide by negative 11, we switch the inequality. Okay, you got to do the same thing here. So we got p here. P is less than or equal to negative 4. All right, notice that I switched the inequality right there. So you got to go less than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so be smart, be wise, and check your work. Okay. All right, man, I'm getting tired. Okay, here we go. On this one, we got to distribute. Here we go, negative 25. Now be careful here, you got plus 30n. Because there's a negative times a negative is a positive. All right, it's got to be less than or equal to negative 175. Add the opposite. Opposite of a negative is a positive. All right, and then you get 30n is less than or equal to negative 150. Dividing by 30. N is equal to, negative 5. Less than or equal to negative 5. All right, so that would be close because guess what? It's the solution. All numbers less than or equal to 5 lie to the left. Okay. Now you gotta be careful here. I got 126 less than 30 minus something. 6 times 2n is 12n. Now here you gotta subtract 30 first, and you get 96 is less than negative 12n. Because these cancel out. 30 minus 30 is usually 0, especially tonight, Friday night. Now, you got to be careful here. When you divide by a negative, you got to switch the inequality. Here we go again. So enter in negative 96, all right, divided by negative 12, all right. You should get, well, I didn't enter the right number there. Let's try 96 divided by negative 12. Got to make sure, man, I'm kind of hitting the wrong keys here. All right, there we go, negative 8. I can do this in my head, and that's why I know I'm getting the wrong results when I hit the wrong buttons on the calculator. Okay, now at this point, you want to switch the order. Why? Because the variable doesn't come first. So, if negative 8 is less than n, that means n is greater than negative 8. Why? Well, if 3 is greater than 2, then 2 is less than 3. So, you have to switch the order and the inequality. Okay, remember that. And all numbers greater than negative 8, all right, don't include negative 8, but they lie to the right. Okay. Okay, on this one here, the reference point is at -5, and all these numbers over here are left of it and less than it. So all numbers less than -5. Over here, they're all numbers less than or equal to this reference point of -6. Okay, so notice this one's closed. All right, and I include the equal sign. This one's open. All right, and I didn't include the equal sign because -5 is not a solution. Okay, over here, -6 right here is a solution, so it's closed. Now on this one here, I said translate. So when you translate this, you say all real numbers greater than. Oh, you hear my dog bed over there? My dog's thirsty. All real numbers greater than 3. Okay, they don't include 3. 3 is not greater than 3. Okay, all numbers like 4, 5, 6, and 7, all those, and including all these numbers right here. Okay, they're all greater than 3. Now this one here, this is all reals. Okay, less than or equal to. Less than or equal to 0. Okay, well here's 0 right here. All right, and they include 0. So let's go all numbers less than that include 0 and to the left. So go close there. So this one's closed because of the less than or equal to part, and this one's open because 3 is not a solution. 3 is not, okay, a solution. So it's helpful to translate first. All right, so you understand it, because if you can't write it and think it correctly, you're not going to graph it correctly. I can guarantee you that. Okay. Now let's continue here. Here we go. We got to solve each literal equation here for the indicated variable. So in this case, we got to solve for x. All right. So let's add the opposite of y here, because x is right here. It's being multiplied by c, and you're subtracting y from it. So there's two operations, multiplication and subtraction. So I got to cancel out the minus y by adding y. Okay, and I see g plus y. And guess what? G plus y cannot be combined because they're unlike terms. All right, negative y plus y cancels out to 0, so put a 0 up there. And you got x times c here. X times c. Put a dot in there. It's times. xc means x times c. And guess what? If you're trying to solve for x, you got to cancel out the c. And the inverse of multiplying is called division. Okay, so you divide both sides by c. All right, and c divided by c is 1 because any number divided by itself is 1. The only exception with that is 0, okay, because you can't divide by 0. So you get g plus y divided by c equals x. All right, now next one here. Got to solve for x here again, so all you do is add the opposite. You can do it in 1 or 2 steps. If you do it in 2 steps, it looks like this. You get x minus y up here remaining because the m and the negative m cancels out. M minus m is typically 0. All right, and then add y. So you get z plus m plus y, right? You're adding, and guess what? They're all unlike terms, so you cannot combine them. Cannot combine unlike terms. Okay, z, m, and y are called unlike terms. You can't combine them. It's as simple as that. I can't explain it any other way. All right, now to solve for x here, all right, all you do is divide by k. Why? Because it's being multiplied by k. The inverse is called division. K times x, or kx is called k times x, and it's called multiplication. In fact, let me rewrite it. Kx means k times x, and that's equal to w plus v. Well, again, the inverse of multiplying by k is called dividing by k. Those cancel out. All right, and you get x is equal to w plus v divided by k. There we go. And that's all there is to it, you guys, okay? And I'm going to pause here because I'm tired. Okay. All right. So that is version 1 here. Let's go to version 2. All right. Version 2, let me see, where is that? All right, so version 1, version 2. Now, if you took version 1, then use this video to help you out, okay? All right, what I want you to do, if this is you, all right, I want you to pause and play, all right, through the video, okay? Try something and then pause it, obviously, try it, and then press play when you're ready and check it. Pause, play, and check your work. That's what I want you to do. Okay, if you are version 2, all right, then just go through it and correct your work and then use your version 1 and do the same thing. All right, go back to the beginning of the video and use version 1. All right, but the key thing is after you correct it, you must do this. You must practice and you practice with me virtually, all right? Because you need to. I mean, you made mistakes last time. You didn't pass the test, and so this time, let's get better. Let's do things better. Let's check your work. All right, so I want you to pause, play, and rewind if you need to, and check your work and do the right thing. All right, most kids, the reason why they don't do well is they never check their work. That's one of the most common things I see in mathematics in high school is that people flat out just don't check their work. And they don't realize that they're doing it wrong. And then they learn the hard way in the test. So be smart, be wiser, all right, and check your work. Here we go. So we got this equation, -1 equals v minus 8. And as I always say, do the inverse, okay? Which the inverse of a minus 8 is plus 8. All right, notice that I did it on the left and the right. All right, so -1 plus 8 is 7. 8 minus 1 is 7. Bring down the equal sign. Cancel out the opposites. All right, those opposites always cancel out the 0. I'm going to write that down. Opposites always cancel out 2. All right, 0. It's always the case. -8 plus 8 equals 0. -4 plus 4 equals 0. Check it on your calculator. All right. So what do you get? You get v equals 7. All right. Now, let's try the next one. Let's take this one. -16 times n, okay, times. -16 times n equals -48. Notice I said times. The reason why I did that is because you got to do the inverse, which is called division. All right. So you take n and it's equal to -48 divided by -16. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And so you should get 3. Okay. Watch this. -48 divided by -16. All right. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. And notice the calculator gives us the same result. All right. Next one, we got to distribute. So here we go. Okay, it's chapter 3 test version 2. All right. So you get 48a plus 64 minus 6 equals -182. Distributed twice. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 8 is 64. Excuse me. So you got to combine like terms. Combine like terms, not unlike terms. Combine like terms. And I'm talking about here. Okay, those are called like terms. So you have 48a, 64 minus 6. Those are constants, guys. 64 minus 6. Okay, what do you get? You get 58. So plus 58 equals -182. You're going to add the opposite. So you get 48a. These cancel out to 0, right? Opposites always cancel to 0. -58 plus 58. You get 0 here. Put a 0 there. But over here on the right, you get a bigger negative. A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative, okay? You get -182, all right, plus -58. Check this out. You get -240, all right? Because a negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. Then you got to divide by 48 because 48a is 48 times a, and you got to divide and use the inverse. All right, so we get 40, these cancel to 1, and you get a is equal to something here. So -240, which is already in your calculator, you got to divide that by 48. So just divide by 48. Just type it in. All right, and you get negative 5. So A equals negative 5. All right, let's move on. So you get 125 is equal to negative 64V, and then negative 8 times 1 is a negative 8, and you got to bring down the plus 5 because you can't forget about that. No way. All right, time to add like terms, just like I said over here. All right, and what do we get? So we get 125 is equal to negative 64V. Negative 8 plus 5 is a negative 3. All right, add the opposite. And you get 128 here is equal to negative 64V. And divide by negative 64. And then, I don't know, work this out, right? So you get 128 divided by negative 64 should be negative 2. Let's try it. There we go. And you get, ooh, look at that, negative 2. So V is equal to negative 2. All right, moving on. Here we go. Distributing. You get 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 5p is 10p. 7 times p is 7p. 7 times negative 8 is negative 56. All right, and that's equal to 24. So time to add like terms. The 12 and the minus 6 are like terms. And if you don't know what 12 minus 56 is, just enter it in. So I'm illustrating on the lesson here what to do. I mean, if you can't do it in your head, fine. Okay, do it on your calculator and just write down the numbers. So you get negative 44. 10 and 7 is 17, so you get 17p here is equal to 24. All right, add the opposite. These opposites cancel to 0. You get 17p equals 44 plus 24, and this should be 68. Then after you divide by 17, you get p is equal to 4. Why? Because 68 divided by 17, guess what? That's 4. All right. Now, I'm going a little fast, all right? And because of that, you guys should be pausing when you need to. Press play when you're ready. Rewind as many times as it takes. Rewind to understand. All right? So use the video effectively here. Just don't sit there in front of the computer and copy. That's not going to help you. All right? Rewind it and listen to it again until you get it. All right? Be smart about it. Okay, so we get negative 6m here, minus 30. Here we get minus 7m, minus 7. A positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive is a negative. All right, and it's time to clean it up and add like terms. Okay, so here we go. So you get negative 24 is equal to negative 13m. A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. A negative 6 minus 7 is negative 13. Or a negative 6 plus a negative 7 is still a negative 13, however you want to think about it. And then a minus 30 and a minus 7, it's called a minus 37. Okay? If you owe 30 and you owe 7, you owe 37 total. All right, add the opposite time. 37 take away 24 is 13, and that's equal to negative 13m divided by negative 13, and you get negative 1 equals m. And there you have it. Okay, cruising. All right, now next one's here. N is being divided by 4, so you multiply both sides by 4. Always do the inverse. And you get n is less than, okay, inequality doesn't change because you're multiplying by a positive, is less than negative 32. And so you graph all real numbers less than 32. Okay, and negative 32 is not a solution. All right, and the reason for that, and because of that, it's open. It's not a solution, so it's open. If it was a solution, I'd say it would be closed. Okay, because in mathematics, that's how you tell the difference. Okay, so in this next one, you get 14 times r is greater than negative 182. Notice I said times. So now I'm going to divide because it's the inverse, and I get r is greater than something. So you enter in negative 182. As I keep saying, if you can't do it in your head, no big deal. All right, just bust it out and you get negative 13. All right, now negative 13 is not a solution. All right, why? Because you want all numbers greater than it. So it's not a solution, so make it open. Okay, we're rocking. We're rolling. Okay, next one. Let's do it down here. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So you got negative 4a is greater than negative 8. Like it keeps saying, you got to combine like terms. Divide by negative 4 and switch the inequality. The inequality must be switched when dividing by a negative. Only by a negative, though. If you divide by positive, it doesn't change. But if you divide by a negative, you change it. So you get a is less than 2, okay? So you find 2 on the number line, all right, and you go less than, all numbers less than 2. You switch that inequality. All right, next one. Combine like terms again. Look at that. 2 and 1 is usually 3. All right, so you get x plus 3 is less than or equal to 11. And after you subtract 3, you get x is less than or equal to 8. All right, and then obviously 8 is a solution because this is less than or equal to 8. And all numbers that lie or that are less than or equal to 8 lie to the left. All right, next one. You have this one here. You got to distribute. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Negative times a negative is a positive, so put a plus sign. Negative 8 times negative 3 is 24, so you get 24k, and that's going to be less than negative 208. All right. Add the opposite, so add a 16. So you get 24k is less than something. And if you don't know what this is, no problem. Okay. Negative 208, all right, and add 16. No problem there. Just bust it out. And you get negative 182. And then after you divide by 24, you get k is less than something. Now you already have it on the calculator, so don't clear it. Just divide by 24. Okay, learn how to use a calculator effectively. All right, and you get negative 8. So all numbers less than negative 8 do not include negative 8. They all include all numbers to the left. Okay, so negative 8 is not a solution here. Negative 8 is not a solution. That's why it's open. Okay, next one, distributing. Okay, I see 10 here, plus 15x. And that's going to be less than or equal to 100. Add the opposite. You get 15x is less than or equal to 90. And divide by 15. X is less than or equal to something. Now, if you don't know what 90 is, divide it by 15. And it's 6. Now, 6 is a solution because of the equal to sign here. So find 6 on the axis. It's a solution. And all numbers less than that, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay, lie to the left. All right, now let's finish strong here. So here we go. Let's take this next one down here. Let's take 98 less than or equal to 7a, distributing through. You get plus 49 because a negative times a negative is a positive, so put plus sign. And again, negative 7 times negative 6 is positive 42a. All right, pay attention to the signs. A negative times a negative is a positive. A negative times a negative equals a positive. Positivo. Okay. Now we combine like terms again. So you get 98 less than or equal to 7 and 42 is 49. Okay, 49a. Look at that. Those are called like terms. Combine like terms. Okay, bring down the rest. Plus 49. All right, now it's positive 49, so we subtract it. 98 minus 49, if you don't know that's 49, type it in and just figure it out, okay? And notice it's 49. So 49 is less than or equal to 49a. Divide both sides by 49, and you get 1 is less than or equal to a. Now you're not done here because you got to switch the order. Okay, that if 1 is less than or equal to a, that means a is greater than or equal to 1. All right, so 1's a solution, so you graph it, right, as so, okay? All numbers greater than or equal to 1 lie to the right of 1. Okay, next one. Negative 161 is less than or equal to 7. All right, plus 21p. 7 times 3 is usually 21. Okay, now add the opposite to both sides. Okay, on the left and the right, make sure you do it to both sides. A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative, as I keep saying in my lesson here. All right, negative 161. All right, plus another negative 7, so plus negative 7. Just type it in, guys. It should be negative 168. So here we go. Negative 168 is less than or equal to, put sound effects in. Those opposites cancel to 0. Bring down the 21p. Now 21p needs 21 times p, so it means you divide. Why? Because it's the inverse again. The inverse of multiplying is co-division. Okay. All right, now you divide. I'm getting a little crazy here. So we get divided by 21. Look at that. Negative 8. So negative 8 is less than or equal to p. And you got to switch the order. So switch the order here. So p is greater than or equal to negative 8. All right, switch order again. As I keep saying in my lessons, switch the order. So negative 8 is a solution here, and negative 8, all numbers greater than negative 8 lie to the right. Okay? Okay. All right, 15. Okay, so all numbers that are less than or equal to negative 5 lie to the left. So less than or equal to negative 5. Here, all numbers that are to the right of 3 are greater than 3. So when you're left of a number, you're less than. If you're right to the number, you're greater than. It's that simple. Okay, okay. All right, now here you want to translate. So n is all reals. Okay, all reals greater than or equal to. All right, 1. And so you find 1 on the axis, 1's the solution, and all numbers that are greater than or equal to 1 lie to the right. Because 2, 3, and 4, and 4, 5, and all those are greater than or equal to 1. Just use your common sense. Okay, now here, this one, all reals less than negative 2. Less than negative 2. Don't include negative 2, so go open. All right, it says less than, not less than or equal to. And all numbers that are less than negative 2 are to the left. Okay, so if you see the equal to portion here in the inequality, it's closed. If you don't, it's open. Okay, okay. All right, last few problems. Thank God, because I'm tired. Okay, so here we go. We're going to solve for some variables. So here we go. So we're going to solve for a. So you got to clear the fractions here, guys. So this is c divided by a equals d plus r. All right, to clear the fractions, you got to do the inverse. All right, instead of dividing by a, you got to multiply by a. So give both sides a hug and multiply. All right, a divided by a. This is a is in the denominator, so this is not multiplication. It's called division. A divided by a is 1. 1 times c is usually c, and that's equal to d plus r times a. Well, it says I said times a, so to solve for a, you got to cancel out this binomial d plus r. So just simply divide by it. Anything divided by itself is 1. So your end result is c divided by d plus r is equal to a. All right, it's a two-step procedure. Two-step procedure. All right. Next one. Next one's a little bit easier. G is equal to c times x. C times x minus y. So I've got multiplication and subtraction. So I got to cancel out the minus y first by adding the opposite. So I get g plus y, which cannot be combined, is equal to c times x. Notice I said c times x. If you're trying to solve for x, you got to cancel out c. So divide by it. And what do you get? You get g plus y divided by c equals x, right? That's all there is to it. It's a simple two-step procedure. This one's even easier. Just subtract k, and you're done. All right? So a is equal to v minus w. Just read it. V minus w minus k. and you're done. It's a one-step problem. And my friends, that is it. And man, I am exhausted because I just took 2 tests in this short period of time. All right, this is version 2 here. And if you're version 2, practice version 1. Go back to the beginning of the video and practice. If you're version 1, then practice version 2 and keep practicing, because guess what? If you practice correctly, you'll probably do much better, okay? That's the problem with most students, is they do not check their work. They repeat all the same mistakes over and over again. They get really good at mistakes. What you guys got to do is practice better. You got to do things better, okay? And that's why I produced this video, so you can pause, play, rewind, and go through it. So do that, and I'll see you in my next lesson. Have a good night, because it is nighttime, and I'll see you later. This is Mr. Ainsworth. Bye-bye.